Welcome to Deprogrammer channel on YouTube and Deprogrammer 2 on Rumble and BitChute. This is your host, Ari Stone. It's been a while since I've published a video, as I've had a lot of other things going on that I'll discuss in coming videos. But for those unfamiliar with my channel, I see things in dreams before they occur in waking states and share examples from my dream journal records in comparison with the actual waking state people and events that occur after my dreams are documented. Now, I've documented at least a couple thousand dreams and dream sequences, and from those observations, I have determined the basis of how dreams actually work, and I wrote a book about it. Now, to learn more about dreams and how to put your own dream data together to make sense out of it all, pick up a copy of my award-winning book, Dreams: The Missing Text. Today's dream vision example relates to the February 3rd, 2023 Ohio train wreck. This particular record is dated March 5th of 2017, which is almost 6 years prior the Ohio train wreck, and this particular record was emailed to Corey Goode on July 25th of 2017. Now, when I first had this dream, I thought it related to a Colorado Springs U.S. Air Force 9-month study of a firefighting foam spill that contaminated water and soil in Colorado. Now, this article was first published the same day I sent the dream vision to Corey, and here are some of the links and information about that, and you can check them out down in the comment section below. Now, while there were some similarities, such as the orange color, which is typical of fire retardants, and there was clearly water testing for contamination, this particular waking state event lacked explosions, toxic gases, actual poisoned waters, and basically dead animals. While the dream wasn't quite about the U.S. Air Force study, since I originally thought the dream was about it, it makes this dream related to that event, but from the perspective of connecting this dream with other dreams of mine with the key waking state data of the U.S. Air Force. So that means this dream connects with other dreams of mine that have to do with the U.S. Air Force, or basically jets. And I blogged a couple of those, and you can check those out if you want by looking at the link below and checking them out. Connected dream visions are important because they provide more information for the main occurred dream vision, and the connected dream visions are also more likely to occur sooner in waking states than not yet connected dreams. So by connecting your dreams together, we are basically rebuilding a book, so the story makes sense. If you check out the connected jet dream visions, you'll notice that one of them already prior occurred in waking states during 2017 that had to do with Elon Musk's SpaceX jets, where I basically drew an image of his jets from seeing one of them on the cover of a magazine in my dream. And prior to that, I had never seen his jets. I didn't even know who Elon Musk was. Yes, I live under a rock. And that sort of a thing happens to me a lot, where I'll see something first in a dream, and then I'll find the occurrence or actual factual stuff in waking states. And I'll go over that dream at some other point in time. Now, let's compare my 2017 dream vision with the Ohio Norfolk Southern train wreck that occurred on February 3rd of 2023. On March 5th of 2017, I documented my dream vision experience. On July 25th of 2017, I photographed the journal pages, put them into a PDF file with some other dreams, and emailed them to Corey Goode because at the time I actually believed in all his frauds as being true, but I now know that they are not. However, the email date is important because this gives an undisputable digital date and timestamp, and the original records can be subpoenaed for the federal court cases that I'm dealing with Corey Goode in, and that will also further prove my trade secret claim. In part 2 of the 7-page dream vision record, I had the main toxic orange gases dream sequence. In the dream record, I was at a type of watering hole and heard 3 loud fireworks-style explosions and then a 4th. In Waking 3D Life, or W3DL as I like to refer to it in my writings, the Ohio train wreck occurred on February 3rd of this year and continued burning throughout the 4th. Note the numbers 3 and 4. In waking states, On February 3rd, a Norfolk Southern train with 150 train cars was traveling through East Palestine, Ohio, when 38 of those cars derailed. Some of those train cars were carrying vinyl chloride, which is a highly flammable and a very toxic gas. In my Dream Journal record, I titled the Dream Vision Toxic Gas Orange Spray Spill. In waking states, due to concerns of a possible catastrophic explosion that would send a deadly spray of shrapnel across a wide area, it was decided there would be a controlled explosion of 5 train cars carrying chemicals. Now, I am uncertain of the exact number of explosions heard by those in the vicinity, if there were 3 or 4, but I would be curious to know if there were 3 or 4 distinct explosions, and if anybody knows, please post a comment below with a link to the information, as I would like to know. I recently restarted continuing to watch the Heartland series on Netflix, and I was surprised to see they had a train wreck contained at the end of season 14 in episode 3, denoted only by explosions. And when I was watching it, I was like, what the heck were those explosions? Just like my response in the dream. And then they were revealed in the next episode to be a train derailment. It stands to reason the people in Ohio also heard similar explosions during the initial crash. It is also key to note the Ohio train wreck explosions were intentionally performed, which is the same feature that is typical to fireworks. They are intentionally exploded. In my dream journal, I also documented after the explosions that there was a huge cloud spray of orange, red, brown smoke, and that it was a toxic gas being released across the lands to poison the drinking water. In the Ohio train wreck news article photos, we can see the huge red-orange from the fire, gas clouds, and they're billowing out over the lands, and they also talk about it going across the lands to poison the drinking water.
And we want to bring you latest now on that train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, right over the Pennsylvania border, where a controlled release of the chemical materials inside one of those cars started just a short time ago.
The governor of Ohio says the toxic chemicals contained in 5 tanker cars are very deadly if inhaled. He says if those living within about a mile of the derailment site don't evacuate, their lives could be in danger. He says you could also suffer severe injury, skin burns, serious lung damage. So emergency workers were going door to door to making sure that no one was in the home before they started that release.
In the dream vision, I shapeshifted into a bee, a bumblebee form, and I flew up the waterway stream looking to see where the toxic dangers ended so that I could land. I found a spot, landed, and transformed back into my human form and continued looking for signs of wildlife. In real life, the plastic chemical gases went out over the lands, as we know, covering about 7.5 miles and contaminated 4 waterways along the Ohio River, notably poisoning 2 surface stream waters, one named Sulphur Run and the other Leslie Run, and killed around 3,500 fish. It is also stated at least one of those streams runs into the Ohio River, which is a source of drinking water, and there were concerns of drinking water supply contamination. Also bear in mind, in the dream vision, I referred to the water as a waterway stream. And note, in waking states, multiple waterway streams were what was poisoned by the toxic gases, the same as in my dream.
Let's go to KDKA's Erica Moke for the latest on this. Erica.
Yeah, now Ken and Christine, what we're looking at here is potentially environmental impacts. I spoke to 2 people, Linda and Russell Murphy. They depend on well water, and just like about everyone else in East Palestine, they are worried about a lot of things. Now, the EPA does say that the area well and groundwater are safe. However, after this couple saw dead fish in this creek that you're looking at, they're deciding to not take any chances.
There was hundreds.
Russell Murphy is referring to the fish now belly up in Leslie Run. He and his wife noticed them last night, barely 48 hours after the fiery derailment 5 miles away.
This is huge, huge environmental effects.
That's now one of many concerns the EPA now faces.
The impact of the fish, yes, there was a impact to those. However, the levels as we have seen it are protective to groundwater. We are aware there are some wells along that for residential wells.
Environmental cleanup crews were at and actually in that water today. So are these booms, which are used to catch and stop anything that shouldn't be flowing here, or into water wells, which Murphy uses for just about everything, including his livestock.
Your family, and you're bathing in it, you're using it for eating, you're drinking it. We got livestock, a couple horses, and we got pets, and you know, is this stuff safe to drink?
At today's press conference, the EPA says it's safe.
We have been able to successfully control that runoff and contain the water and either treat it in place along with a robust sampling program for the water quality and we continue to expand that, and that will continue throughout this operation.
However, this iridescent sheen and those dead fish, to Murphy, tell a different story. One with an ending he is not looking forward to.
The health effects, the long-term environmental effects, the waterways, I mean, this is bad. It's bad.
Now, I have reached out to Norfolk Southern, the company at the center of this derailment, asking them what could have caused this fish kill, what kind of chemical. I have not heard back. Now, we have heard officials talking about what's called vinyl chloride and other substances associated with the derailment. However, they say those are vapors. Reporting live tonight on the edge of East Palestine, Erica Moke, KDKA News.
Now, out of curiosity, since I shapeshifted into a bumblebee form in the dream and was flying to find the edge of the poison perimeters, I Googled, how long does it take a bumblebee to fly 1 mile? I found on Wildlife Geek's website an article published September 7th of 2022 by Elias. And the article stated the average bumblebee can fly or travel around 3 miles per day and up to 8 to 9 miles a day, back and forth travel usually, but may fly up to 9 miles away from their nest if necessary, such as foraging for food, water, shelter. The key takeaway from this article is that a bumblebee may fly up to 8 to 9 miles away from their nest in 1 day, but often does half that distance by doing back and forth travel. Now, this is interesting to note because the Ohio train wreck spill is stated to have a 5 to 7.5 mile radius, which is a similar distance to what a bumblebee might travel in a day. In the dream, I was also looking for any sign of wildlife and didn't really see any. I was also listening for any bugs and bug sounds such as crickets, grasshoppers, and other night bugs to find the poison perimeter edges.
First News has been hearing all of your calls about your animals suffering and getting sick, some even dying. And it's not just causing problems for the animals, it's also causing problems for their owners as well. Taylor Holzer and his family run Parker Dairy. It's just outside East Palestine's original evacuation zone. Taylor is an ODNR registered fox keeper. A couple of his foxes broke their legs trying to run after the initial derailment. One of his foxes even died.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down, and he had liquid diarrhea and just went very fast.
Taylor tells me all of his foxes have been sick and acting different since the weekend. Some have abnormally puffy faces, including the one he's holding. He says they are not eating properly. Many are dealing with stomach issues and are acting lethargic.
This isn't how a fox should act. He's very weak, limp. His eyes are very watery and weepy.
Some of the foxes are pacing rapidly in their pen, another sign they are not well. Taylor says the train derailment is causing all of these issues.
Smoke and chemicals from the train, it's the only thing that could cause it, because it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. The chemicals that we're being told are safe in the air, that's definitely not safe.
For the animals?
It's for animals or people.
Taylor hopes justice is served for the animals and people of East Palestine.
People's cats are getting sick and dying, and people's other birds that they have in their house that they weren't being able to evacuate either. Just, it's not safe.
In the dream, once I landed at the river and shapeshifted back into my human form, I was looking for any signs of living wildlife. And I didn't really see any at that point, but I did see a lady scientist surveyor. She was a researcher type who seemed to be looking to see how the damages could be fixed, and she was not personally responsible for the toxic gases. In waking states, in an ABC News article, a female named Mary Mertz, who is the director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, stated 4 tributary waterways over a space of 7.5 miles were contaminated and that at least 3,500 fish died. In a similar article published by USA Today, February 24th of 2023, Mary Mertz stated that the officers had been on site every day since the derailment. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources also estimated that more than 43,000 animals died in and around East Palestine, Ohio. Note that in my dream, I saw a lady scientist type walking along the waterway looking to fix the damages. And in waking states, again, note that the Maine Ohio Department of Natural Resources Director is a female, also not responsible for the toxic gas spray spill damages, but she is responsible for resolving how to fix those damages since she is the director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and as such, she is also looking into how things can be fixed. Also note, in my brief conversation with the scientist lady in my dream, that I commented on how I was looking for wildlife and it seemed most of the poisons had killed them off, and the lady agreed with me. And again, note in waking states that Mary is the director of the Ohio Department of Resources, and the department estimated that more than 43,000 animals died as a result of the toxic gases from the Ohio train wreck. In the dream, a chihuahua also showed up near the river and they seemed to be okay. So I gave that chihuahua fresh and safe, clean drinking water, and then I also saw 3 other dogs. The USA Today article goes on to state that there were anecdotal reports of animals in and around East Palestine becoming sick or dying even as far away as 20 miles. The author, Paige Bennett, also cited there were reports of 3 dead birds and a possum in the area, also sent to the Ohio Department of Agriculture, and that Mary Mertz stated, "We have no reason to believe that those terrestrial animal deaths were as a result of the spill." Note that dogs are terrestrial animals and that the few I saw seemed to be okay. And I had flown a distance away from the explosions. Also note, Mrs. Mertz uses the word spill, as again, this is the main word I used to title the dream, toxic gas orange spray spill. It is also stated in the USA Today article they're working to contain the spill, and they mention various poison gas spill perimeters ranging from 5 miles to 7.5 miles and 20 miles, all distances a bumblebee could travel in 1 to 2 days, which was the duration of their main toxic spill, which was on the days of the 3rd and the 4th of February, so 1 to 2 days, and again within that bumblebee radius. I also recently got to thinking, was Mary Mertz the director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, or ODNR, when I had the March 5th of 2017 dream vision? I checked, and she was not. Mary was appointed January of 2019, approximately 2 years after my dream vision. Before Mrs. Mertz was the director, a male by the name of Jim Zeringer was the director from 2011 to December of 2018, all during the time I documented the original dream and when I first delivered it to Corey Goode and by extension David Wilcock. I also looked and verified that to work in the Environmental Protection Agency type jobs, a science degree is best. And I was curious then, does Mrs. Mertz have a science degree? Well, she does, but it's in political science. And I found it highly interesting that on Mrs. Mertz's LinkedIn profile, she lists her prior work experience is notably in various law offices, including the Ohio Attorney General's office. This is super interesting to me, as I have already shown 6 Colorado court judges that I already knew what they were going to do or say in waking states before they did it, and in some instances even years prior, and of course I filed that information on the court record. And some of those records are from the records in Corey Goode's email box since 2017. So I think it's really funny that Mrs. Mertz also has a legal background, because I seem to have a pattern of showing attorneys, lawyers, and judges that I already know what they're going to do in waking states because they already told me in sleep states of consciousness. And Mrs. Mertz is yet another prominent legal person and moderate public figure that I already knew what she would do in waking states before I even knew who she was, and before she even had the science-related job as director of ODNR. Mary Mertz is a good example of how I identify visiting souls that I don't know who they are in waking states when I first have my dream, but then because that person later on behaves in similar ways to my dreams, but in waking states, that's how I'm able to identify them. So I don't just go around like making up things saying like, yeah, that's so-and-so. It has to be based on something first in real life that I can say, yeah, that is in fact that person. So in coming videos, I'm going to get more into souls using disguises when they visit, and how you can trace them back throughout your earlier dreams once they've identified themselves in a very clear dream, such as you saw as this one with Mary Mertz. At this time, I don't really think that Mary Mertz has appeared in more of my dreams, but I do have a lot of examples with other people, to notably include a lot of the people I met or am dealing with now in waking states because of the Corey Goode legal situation. And we'll be getting into some of those in future videos, so stay tuned. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed seeing the comparisons of my dream vision toxic gas orange spray spill dated March 5th, 2017 with the waking state February 3rd, 2023 Ohio train wreck toxic gas orange spray spill. If you want to see more dreams of mine in comparison with waking state people, events, and situations as related to my life and my Corey Goode legal situation and more, be sure to subscribe to Deprogrammer channel on YouTube and Deprogrammer 2 on Rumble and BitChute. Click that notification bell, smash that like button, and share a way to help spread the truth about dreams, what they really are, and how they actually work in real life. Lastly, if you'd like to support me, you can help me by literally buying me a coffee by donating to me at buymeacoffee.com/deprogrammer. Until next time, sweet dreams, my friends. This is your host, Ari Stone, signing off.